I am very confident that whosoever will read the book will see a change of mind.
As for me, I would say this is not just a book. This is an example of how life it is realistically.
Children should know their rights since the day they are born. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again as Covenant Raw Podcast. Guys, we are really sorry about what was going on, guys. We are very, very sorry. I know it's been time now without posting or updating you on what's going on, but now we are back with a bomb, guys, with a shampoo. We are back great and bigger. And with me here is my co-host, Julius.
Sasikal, how are you? Bonjour. Today we are joined by one of the prominent advocates and author of the book Restoring the Balance, Mr. Harry Mjindao. How are you, sir?
I am very good. Thank you very much for your time and for this podcast.
Thank you, sir. I personally would like to start about the career. Say, what inspired you to be an advocate?
It was not destined, it was not planned.
Mm.
It was organic journey. I started writing the book on the issue of inequalities. And to write that book, I felt that because this society is run on the basis of law, the structure of society is law, the authority comes from law. So, if I have to write on the issue of inequalities, unless you know the structure of the society, the legal structure of the society, my book could not be complete and it could not explain the logical concepts. So, I thought I should study law. So, then I joined this law.
From what you have said, sir, we already know that you care so much about social justice. Do you mind telling us why do you care so much about the social justice of the society?
Well, many people experience injustice, but they become silent. I could not bear with injustice. I felt there has to be a solution, and solution could not be an imaginary situation. It had to be a realistic solution based on the legal provisions, based on the natural justice system. So this led me to delve deeper into the subject when I started writing this book, Restoring the Balance. And the question that existed in my mind was that a child does not give birth to himself or herself. When a child becomes adults, if he is born in a rich family, he enjoys all the facilities. A child born in a poor or middle class family finds deficiency in terms of support, of resources, guidance, and he feels relegated to second place in the society. Then the thought came to my mind, who was responsible? Then I realized child was not responsible because he did not make his parents poor or low income parents. So why should he suffer from injustice caused by inequality? This thought developed in my mind and I started writing on this issue.
Okay. It took you long enough to write this book. It took about 17 years. Can you tell us what made it took so long to the extent of taking 17 years to write and compile this book?
Well, I did not want to write just on the problem. I wanted to give a solution. If I was to just write on the problem are existing. Many people have written on the problems, but when it comes to solutions are evading the society. So to find a solution to the problem, first of all, I had to spend 3 years studying the law. Then I had to join the court practice to understand the practical aspects of law. Then during these 17 years, I observed a lot of things happening in the society globally, not just in India, globally, as to how the inequalities were rising, how the inequalities were impacting the future of citizens or the people or the human beings, how crime was related to poverty. So, all those things I was able to relate, and also I had to find a way as to how to present the book to the reader. I had to see that book should be written in a very simple language, first of all. Secondly, I wanted to question myself whether my book will be able to give answers to the questions that will arise in the minds of readers. So I had to write the book from the perspective of the readers, whether something which existing in my mind, and it is not necessary the same thing will exist in the mind of the reader. The reader may have multiple questions, whether my book will address those questions with the solution or will it merely be a discussion. So to understand the mind of the reader, I had to study a lot of literature, I had to study different subjects, and all this took time.
Oh, that's so interesting, sir. But according to what you are saying, so you studied law, right? But that means you were at a certain point where you have things that you're already achieving, but you left those things for law for you so that you can write this book and foster social justice. How does it feel? How did you go about all that thing?
Well, it is a very important question. I was successfully running my international shipping and logistics business, even carrying shipments to Zimbabwe, Harare. But then this thought was very strongly existing in my mind कि why inequalities? I realized that people from the middle class or from the low income group, how much hard they may work, only few of them will be able to rise above certain barriers. Most of other people will not get equal opportunities despite working very hard, despite working honestly. And I also realized that the system of the society was such that if you want to rise beyond a certain level, you had to indulge in corruption or in wrong deeds. And the question that was existing in my mind, why a person through honest means cannot rise. So these thoughts were very strongly empowering my mind or overwhelming my mind. And I did not want to just write a book for the sake of writing a book. I wanted a serious book. So then there was a conflict between my business and my study of law. Law, I was also again not studying for the sake of passing an exam. I wanted to study and understand the legal structure of the society. So I had to very deeply study law, very deeply study law. Who makes the law? How the laws are made? What is the thoughts of a person making the law, proposing the law? If law is governing the society, why there exists so much of inequalities? Why there exists so much of crime? If law was to provide justice, what is deficiency in law? So I had to study all those angles in the law. I had to research the law. I had to question the law. All this required my mind to be free. If I was to do it along with my business was not letting me sufficient time to write on the book and do the research. Business involves financial stakes. One does not want to lose money. And if I was to decide between writing a book and losing the business, I felt that money I can earn later on also. But if this thought die, then millions of people will be deprived of the injustice, of the justice. Because this book is meant to deliver a solution, not mere a talk. So this book was very important not only from my point of view, but from the point of view of humanity, for the general good of the society. So I chose between earning money and writing a book. I closed down my business.
Well, people, we have heard it from the horse's mouth. Sam, from all the writing techniques, why did you prefer to use the dialogue technique instead of other techniques which are used by various authors in other?
I realized during the journey of writing the book, during my interaction with public in the society, interactions with some intellectual set of group in the society, I found them ignorant about the real working of the society. Even amongst the professors, teachers, they lacked basic knowledge. So when I was writing a book, I was considering in what form it should be written. The thoughts must click the mind of the reader, and the best way was to create a question, because when a question is created, a dialogue, the question is created, that question automatically transfers into the mind of the reader also. He also raises the same question then. Otherwise, he can ignore because he is ignorant generally. But when he reads the question, then he becomes curious. So, what is the answer? So, that develops interest in the book. And that is important because, again, as I have said, book is not meant for the sake of book. It is meant to translate knowledge into the mind of the reader, that he becomes so much awakened that he becomes a change maker in the society.
Okay, and we have seen it is a lot of pages and many chapters. We would like to know from all the chapters, which was from your preference, say, as the author, which was one of the, what you would say, this was the hardest chapter and why?
See, every word was very hard. not the chapter. We are living in a political system where divide and rule is a system. So when you write something, it can always draw two meanings. Every word can draw two different meanings. So which meaning will be preferred by people in the society who are ignorant? So I had to think of each and every word so that it conveys the clear meaning and reader understands the concept in the same manner as existing in the mind of the author. So every word was hard, not just one chapter, and the whole book has moved in a flow. You have read the book; it moves into in a flow. It from one point it leads to another. It's an automatic series of curiosities. One question raises the curiosity. The answer provided in the book satisfies one curiosity, but it again raises the next curiosity. So this is how the book leads till the end. And you raised many questions during your discussions earlier, and you found all the answers with solution.
Yes,
So, guys, this is the author himself. You heard the introductions, guys. I don't think you have anything else that you need to know. So, in this next segment, guys, we are going to venture into the book. Now we are talking about the book. I think so now we've read the introduction of the author, how he got to write this marvelous book. So, guys, join us in this segment so that we talk and we dig deep into this book.
welcome back, viewers from our WhatsApp. Now we are jumping into the book itself with the author, Mr. Chidao. Say, you argued that justice is social, economic, and political. Which of these do you think is the most neglected and why?
See, these terms do not exist in isolation. They're interconnected. A human life revolves around economic system, the money. So if there is no economic justice, there will not be social justice. And if there is no social justice, there will not be political justice, there will not be equal participation. So they are all interconnected and they all are collectively important, that justice must not be segmented, it must be holistic.
Okay. What do you see as the root cause of the persistent inequality in society?
Well, what I have investigated is that the policy are not being framed to address every citizen. The policies are being made for benefiting certain sections of the society. My book in detail discusses how inequalities and unequal opportunities are connected, how the outcomes of these two again impact the wealth inequalities. Wealth inequalities translate into social inequalities. The root cause has to be addressed. The root cause, what I feel, is inequalities at the level of children. Because a child does not give birth to himself or herself. Child is not responsible for less wealth or less earning of the parent. When child is not responsible, why child should face inequality? Why child should not face equality in all forms? So this is a very important point around which this book revolves. And unless this point is addressed, the inequality will not be addressed. And this is how the book explains step by step, question by question, that when there are inequalities at the level of children, they will not be able to develop their capacities. When they are not able to develop equal capacities, they will not be able to compete equally. When they're not able to compete equally, they will not be able to avail the opportunities equally. So automatically, once the grassroots at the root level the inequality exists, they will continue to build further, and as they grow they become adult. As we see the too much of wealth gap, that cannot be controlled unless we address the root cause of the problem.
So, sir, as you are saying, many children are born in families whereby they can't afford the basic necessities such as food, clothes, or even education. So, you as yourself, what practical strategy can you give to the government, to the policymakers, to the community, to the population to break that intergenerational poverty curse?
See, it is very important to understand that no one can be punished without a fault. When a child is not responsible for less wealth of his parents, unequal wealth system, why should he be punished? So the policy should address this. When a child is not at fault, why should he bear the inequality? Policy should address that straightway. That when a new child is born, he should be provided equality in all forms. Now, equality is not just in terms of basic material resources, food, shelter. It is in terms of psychology also. If psychologically I feel inferior, or someone feels superior at the level of children, no one is earning money, no one is doing work, professional work. All are to build their themselves, develop their capacities. So at that level itself, if children see discrimination, disparities in the development of capacities, how will those be taken care of when they become adults? So at the childhood level itself, they have to be addressed.
So, from the audience views, most of them they were asking from all the characters, why did you portray the Rashiji as a sage or a religious leader instead of something else? Why the religious?
See, in a society, we follow the spiritual leaders. We believe in them. And Raj first went to his mother to ask the question why he does not have the same facilities, same amenities as enjoyed by a child born to rich parents. Raj asked his mother, a child of his age, born to a rich family, goes to a good school, plays with very good toys, wears good clothes, enjoys good food in the restaurant. He says, look at me, I don't even have food to eat, what to talk of a slipper to wear. Why there are disparities between two us? The mother gives him a reply, five fingers are not equal. He says, what the five unequal fingers have to do with my life? She says, it is based on your past karmas, past deeds. Your deeds may have been wrong. You were born in a poor family. His deeds may have been good. He's born in a rich family. So now you do good deeds, your future will improve. But the child does not believe in it. So he tries to ask questions to many people in this society, but he does not get an answer. He sees a rishi being revered like a god. So he feels he will give me an answer. So therefore he goes to rishi, and the story takes the character of a dialogue between a rishi and a child.
So all this, to what I'm getting from what you're saying, sir, you're saying children are not supposed, they are born, but then they are not supposed to be affected by the poverty. They are supposed to have equal opportunities. And the government should make sure that all children, whether rich or poor, they are equal in the things that they get. So, as we know, some of the policies that we have now in our countries, what do you say about the education and the policies that
Education of whom?
the education
For
that
the
they are
policymakers.
that they are providing to the society, that they are providing to the population? Was, as much as we know, the policymakers, those are the ones also who are making the curriculum.
See, one thing which is very important, which people in general should understand, we are living in a democratic era, democratic system of governance. Democracy runs on the basis of votes. Majority votes decides the government. Unfortunately, majority population is poor. Majority population is suffering. Despite having majority votes, there is a paradox. That means majority population is ignorant. They do not know the value of their votes. Majority population can elect their own people to frame the right policies, but they don't have that right education. They do not understand the importance of democracy. So they are influenced by wealthy politicians, the corrupt politicians, who influence them mentally. They buy their vote through money, through groceries, through other means of attractions. But ignorant remains ignorant because there is no such education system, there is no such system which will make them aware. In this book, you might have found a story of a thief. It tries to awaken the public that what is the work of a thief? To steal. A thief whose wealth or whose property he is stealing, he will not wake him up. But the owner who is being robbed, who is losing his things, it is his duty to wake up. So if we have a corrupt system, the corrupt politician or the corrupt people will not awake the public. Public will themselves have to wake themselves to protect their right. Unfortunately, public does not have that thought also. Very few people in the public have that thought, and they are not able to influence large section of the society, which is a major cause that there is no much pressure on the elected politicians to make the correct policy. And to make correct policies for equality, the masses have to be awakened. Masses have to make a collective effort, collective voice. If the existing politicians do not want to change the policies, let them elect new leaders. Let leaders should know, the new leaders must know that they can frame new policies, and by making new policies, they can bridge the gap between rich and poor. That can come when the masses are awakened. Masses will themselves produce new leaders who will ensure right policy making.
But no, as much as I'm checking the book, much as I've been opening pages, there's a question that I've seen here, but I want you to illustrate it to me so that we give more understanding to our viewers, sir. You know, on the question 55, where you say, um, what could be the probable reason for honest citizens to contest elections for all constitution.
Which question?
Question number 54, 52, 52.
52.
Yes.
You see, what could be probably to connect? At this moment, masses are ignorant. Whenever an election comes, they feel it is an opportunity to earn some money in exchange of vote. They are influenced by freebies, free liquor, money, groceries. They are lured by that. Honest person cannot do this. If honest person also starts indulging in this thing, then he is not honest. But masses are ignorant. They cannot buy the words of the honest person that I will frame the right policies which will uplift you from poverty. That they cannot understand because their mind is so blocked, so less developed. So that is a challenge for the honest people. So masses have to be awakened first. Only then there will be space for honest person to come and contest elections. If masses do not support an honest person, what will he do by contesting elections?
Sir, from what you have said that the masses should be awakened, how can how would the masses differentiate from an honest leader and from a dishonest one?
See, what is the purpose of making law? Purpose of making law is to regulate the conduct of people in the society. That means we need to prepare a system which will ensure that no person is able to indulge in corruption. Even if, because there is a saying, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So an honest person can also become corrupt. There is a possibility. But there has to be a check system. If a correct check system is created, if you go to question number 110 of this book, it talks of a check system. It says what kind of appropriate and relevant actions would be needed to end poverty and sufferings of children born to poor and other classes. So this is a very detailed. This question is gives a very detailed answer comprising of many points. These points are meant to create a check system on the public servants, whether elected or selected. That there will be so less possibility of their indulging in corruption. So this book gives a check system.
Another question comes from our viewers, which says, what role should education play in restoring the balance in the society?
See, we are living in a democratic society. First of all, the education of democracy must be introduced from the very young age. Every child must know the importance of vote. Now we have seen because of the poverty, a large section of the society drops school education, does not go to college or university. Most of the subjects like sociology, economics, political science, public administration, law, constitution, which are the subjects for governing the society or related to governance of the society, they are taught at the university or the college level. Majority population do not reach there, so therefore we developed a new curriculum for the children we are teaching in slums. We don't teach A for apple, B for boy, C for cat, D for dog. We teach A for administration, D for ballot, C for constitution, D for democracy, for election, L for law, R for rights, so that they are introduced to these words from the very young age, and they become when they become voter at the age of 18, they must know the importance. So this kind of change we need to bring, and again it is a policy matter. Who will frame the policy? The elected people. So policy will be framed when there is a pressure on the elected people. To create a pressure on the elected people, we will have to have awakened masses who will demand bring change in the education. So awakening is the most important part.
So, guys, it's a funny thing, yeah. I've just recognized that these are not equal. But I have a question for you, viewers. So do you know all your rights? You are living there, you are where you are, but do you actually know your rights? So, this book, guys, this book, the knowledge that our say here had impacted in this book, I'm advising you guys, wherever you are, please try to get hold of this book and be awakened. So, we're going to see you in this next segment. This is our last segment. Guys, I want you to sit tight and listen very carefully, because this is the last segment, for we are delivering you a silver platter. So it's up to you to eat or leave. So, there are things that we expect people while they finish this reading this book. So, as for you, sir, what are your expectations for the viewers after reading this book?
I am very confident that whosoever will read the book will see a change of mind. You have read the book. How have
Yes.
you felt?
As for me, I would say this is not just a book. This is an example of how life it is realistically. Because it is said in the book, there is a fictional story in the book where I quote that at first God created everything which was surplus for everyone, which was enough for everyone. But because of greed and because of selfishness, some of the people and some of those who were in advantage of their things, they took which were more than and leaving others without. So that others were left poor and others were left neglected. So as I was reading this book, I realized that there are people who take advantage of the poor, and there are people who take advantage of the poor, of their position, like the policymakers and those who make the reforms. That's what I understand mostly about this book.
Mm. And also, guys, it's not only this story that is found interesting in this book. I also found this other story of three athletes. One was in a clear path. The other one was in a path where it had hurdles. The other one was in a well, or let me say a pit. So in this race, for you, or you already know who's going to win, the one in the clear path. So this is the classification of the society, how people are living. There are those who already have their things already set for them. It's only left for them to just stretch their hand and receive. But you also have those who have to run the race, who have to go through hurdles, some things so that they could achieve. And we have those who are already in the world, like, guys, how can you win a race when you're in a well, when you're in a pit? So it's a story that I found interesting in this book.
So I am not expecting, rather I am feeling confident. As I said earlier, whosoever will read the book will see a drastic change because this book has taken 17 years of research, observation, studies to understand different phenomena in the society, mindsets of people, and very practically this book has been explained. Many of the questions have been explained with the help of stories which people can relate to the real life, and they will find book very interesting. As you have experienced, you had many questions in your mind.
Yes, sir.
You found all the answers for all the questions in your mind with the solution, and which you found very logical.
Yes, sir.
No question remained unanswered.
Yes.
So if that is the case with you or with you, that will be the case with others also.
Okay, sir. We know this segment is attracting a lot of audience, including policymakers. So, if policymakers read the book, which reform would you urge them to make?
A number of reforms would be required. The most important will be providing equal platform to all the children. Secondly, creating a check system which is so well crafted that there is no incentive for corruption by any public servant, whether elected or selected, so that the system is no more distorted in future. It remains stable for the children. When all these political leaders they talk of the children are equal to God, they must be treated like God.
Before coming here, sir, we went to the slums and we saw a couple of children that you were giving help. So, what inspired you to help those underprivileged children at slums?
This book talks of awakening the masses
Hmm.
because majority votes are in the hands of poor. If they are not awakened, they will not be able to utilize the vote properly. So they are going to become voters as they become adults, 18 years. If they are not well educated, they will remain ignorant voters. So setting up such projects was very important and develop a new education. Like I said earlier, we don't teach A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. We teach A for admin, B for ballot, C for constitution, D for democracy, L for law, R for rights, V for vote. so that they understand the value of significance of democracy from the young age and the importance of the vote and the correct and judicious use of the vote. It is very important for making the correct policies in the society. And you have seen the project.
Yes, yes.
How did you find the project? Number one question. Second is, what has been your mind before reading the book and after reading the book?
Yeah. At the project, I have realized that for the alphabetical order, it's not like you were teaching them A for apple. Because if we look at them, those children, most of them, they won't even have a chance to have that proper tertiary education. So if they are given those kind of education where they are taught A for apple, it will not be that much of a help to them. So it is better to give them a better education which will help them know their rights and their constitutional awareness. That's what I understood from the type of education that you were providing them. And also on the question of the what was I expecting from the book and how my question answered after I read the book. Yeah, I think you knew before I was here. I had a lot of questions and I even asked most of them and I was given the answers. This book does not only answer the questions like in other books, it gives the logical answers, which which I would say it's helpful to citizens who may not have the technical know of their rights and the constitutional laws of their.
That's also interesting, and it's also the same to me. No, when I went to the slums, I was very shocked because when they were asked to recite the A to Z alphabetical order, as for me, I was expecting A for apple, B for banana, D for dog. But then I was shocked to hear a small infant saying A for admin,
Mm.
B ballot box. How how is it going? Then as I then read this book, then I got the understanding that children should know their rights since the day they are born. They should be awakened so that when they grow, for we say we don't build the society from the rooftop, but we start from the foundation. So the children, those are the foundation of our society. So if we don't groom them with the right knowledge, with the right wisdom, we won't go anywhere. And there is also a part in this book where you gave a solution on how to fix the system, the steps that can be taken. And after that, you also gave, there are also questions that came from those solutions and they were answered. So the answers that I got from this book is not, they are not just mere answers that I can say it's just a random answer, but they are logical answers that I can relate and see through. So
That is why it took 17 years.
Yeah, yeah, you can see that. So, sir, what are the challenges that you have faced in helping the children from the slums?
See, there are a number of challenges. First challenge is that the parents of the children do not believe that education can help them. They're so illiterate and so ignorant. Children are engaged in helping parents in earning money, taking out time for them to study is a challenge. Continuity is a challenge because they're migrant laborers. They shift with their work to another place, so the studies are disturbed. So, like that, there are a number of challenges. But we have created a very flexible system, and we don't make a very strict rule that a child must come at 9 o'clock when the project starts. If the project is running from 9 to 12 o'clock, even if a child comes at 11:30, we encourage him to come so that he can study whatever time it is available. We know time is a challenge for them. We provide them with uniforms, all the stationery. We even take them to good hotels for lunch so that they develop a feeling of a better life and work for it. Expose them to so many different events and things to develop an inclination to work hard to come out of the present situation and strive to live a dignified life.
Wonderful. So, sir, what can ordinary people do to support this mission? Because this is a big mission. It's a good which I think it needs support from the people, from our viewers, from our audience. So, what can they do to support this mission?
Very interesting question. First of all, the most important point is they should awaken themselves.
Mm.
They must understand their right. They must understand they are no slaves of the politicians or few wealthy people. They are independent citizens, independently born. They're equal citizens with equal rights. They must learn that. Unless they develop the right knowledge, they cannot help the society. It is most important for them to understand their position in a democratic society which allows for equality. It's democratic. We are no more living under monarchies where the king is the absolute power. No, the powers are in our hands. Every vote is a power. So collective votes, the power of collective vote is what determines the shape of the society. So if you are awakened, awakened people will lead you. If you are ignorant, ignorant people will lead you, or people who will exploit you. So check system has to be created by people themselves through awakening themselves.
Well, viewers, I think you have heard from the author himself. Be acknowledged, be awakened, know your rights, know your laws. And also, make sure you know this. I will read it while the author is here. He says, the top 100 evaluation will receive cash prizes and certificates at national level function in New Delhi. So make sure you read this book, Restoring the Balance by Advocate Harion Jendal, and evaluate it, understand it, and stand a chance to win a cash prize and certificates in the event in New Delhi.
Guys, do not miss this opportunity. You know, this book, okay, for those, before I forget, for those ones that say we want this book, but we can't have access to it, how can we get this book? How can I get hold of this treasure so that I awaken myself? How can they get this book, sir?
This book is available on Amazon by searching Restoring the Balance by Advocate Hariom Jindal. Alternatively, they can send a message by WhatsApp.
Okay, so we are going to display the details here. They are going to be there where you can contact us if you want this book. So, guys, I urge you, knowledge is power, knowledge is treasure.
Thank you, sir. It was a nice segment with you, and I'm sure all the viewers will say the same. And we have been awakened. Now is the chance for you viewers to go and look for this book and find something treasureless like it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.